Welcome to Long Story Long. I'm your host, Lisa Curry. Today's guest is the incredibly talented Eliza Skinner. Eliza is the head writer of Earth to Ned, and she has a comedy album out called Regarding My Lovers that's very funny, and you should either buy it or stream it or both. I don't know your business. Get it wherever you get comedy albums, okay? Here we go. Hi, how are you, Eliza?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
Likewise.
Thanks. You're in Colorado right now.
I am. Yes, I'm in Denver.
How has it been?
It's been great. You know, I've been here for much longer than I expected to be. Mm-hmm. But that's because it's been nice being here, and so I'm like, I might as well stay.
Yeah.
I was going to leave this week, and then a straight up blizzard dumped a few feet of snow.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, never mind. Not time to hit the road yet. But I do at this point. I miss LA. I miss my house with my stuff and my cat. And so I am looking forward to getting back there and just, touching my stuff.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just going to roll around in my things when I get back home for hours. Have you found, is it better creatively for you to be out there? I mean, or just like in a different space?
I would say no. I think it's better creatively for me to be in LA. Well, I mean, in LA, I've got my own space and a devoted workspace for myself.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And I mean, even if it's the couch, it's like, that's my spot. Yeah. And I can be like, all right, everybody in the house is working right now.
Everybody here, meaning you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, cause I'm by myself and and there's kind of a pressure on me that I put on myself. Mm-hmm. That's like, you better get something done. Whereas here, I don't really have my own devoted workspace. My boyfriend, Andrew, has his. I helped him set up an office for himself, mm-hmm. which I can borrow sometimes, but it's really his. And, if I'm working in the living room, then I'm letting dogs in and out all the time. And also, he likes me a lot, so I don't have that pressure of like, you're a piece of shit if you don't get some writing done today. Mm-hmm. Because I've got this guy here being like, you're never a piece of shit. And so I'm like, well, then why ever get work done? Come on. Who needs it?
I do really need that motivation as well of like, well, if I don't write this, then I'm a terrible person all around in every category.
Like we have to like emotionally torture ourselves to get writing done. It's difficult. But I've also like, he's a comic also, and he's really funny and a writer. And so it's been helpful having someone to bounce ideas off of. Yeah. Like even this morning I was like, oh, I think I have a little tiny idea. And then started talking to him about it. And, he knows the kind of questions to ask and ideas to offer. And like pretty soon it's a for real idea. And so it's like, that would have been weeks of me watching TV and staring at my pets and not really figuring out what I needed to figure out.
That is part of the process though.
Yeah, for sure. You just have to have a balance of all of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm saying it's just been different. There's pluses and there are minuses, I guess. Yeah.
Can you talk about anything you've been working on during this time?
It's been knitting. It's mostly been knitting.
That's great.
I'm knitting a lot of stuff.
I love it.
But as far as like comedy and writing, I don't think I don't really have anything in the works enough to say or not say. Mm-hmm. But I've been trying to think of stuff that would be easy to produce. So not a lot of live action stuff. So like animation. Also, my last big job was working on a show with puppets, which is a really specialized area. So on the one hand, it's like it's a tiny corner of entertainment, so it doesn't bump me up most ladders. But in that one area, I suddenly have this experience that a lot of people don't. So like I had a meeting earlier today with like a phone meeting. With somebody who was like, you work with puppets, tell me about puppets, we're looking to do things with puppets. And so I'm like, oh right, yeah, I forgot, I guess that's my specialty skill now.
Puppet master, some would say. So you're I'm so sorry, I'll leave now. You're talking about Earth to Net, of course, right?
Yes.
Which is so good. And that launched during quarantine, didn't it? Or during all of this?
Yep. September 4th. Same day as my album.
Oh, that's wild. What a cool
Yeah.
thing to have been able to release two huge projects in the middle of this.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, again, there's ups and downs because, like, on the one hand, I have double reasons to be shameless about asking to guest on people's podcasts or do interviews or whatever. But on the other hand, I have to be talking about both of them at the same time rather than devoting, like, I am really going to push my album, or no, I'm really going to push this show. So, you know, I probably got on more things than I would have if I was just doing one, but I had to divide my attention. So hopefully people got the message about both. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, well, I certainly did. It seems like a lot of people did. And Earth to Net is really cool and different. It's such a nice, fresh take on like the late night.
Thanks. Yeah.
Experience, that's not really the word I'm looking for, but we'll go with it.
I think it is a good word for it because it's not just a take on late night shows. It's also we got to sneak in little things about like the artifice of like how you make these shows and why we make these shows. Like, what are we looking for when we have a couch interview with a celebrity on a late night show? Are we looking for them to tell us prank stories from the last movie that they shot that they're trying to promote? Or are we looking for them to explain the human existence experience to us and the fundamental parts of being a human? And what's the difference between those things?
Yeah.
So
that's really cool. How did that show come about?
It was the seed of the idea came up from a production company called Marwar Productions and Henson when they were making the Creature Shop Challenge together, which was a reality show about puppeteers. So
very cool.
Yeah, just like all those reality shows, like the tattoo ones and haircutting ones and makeup ones. And this was making puppets. And when they were doing it, they were like, well, we like working together and we like all this stuff. What's something else that we can do? And they just started batting around the idea of a talk show with puppets. And then it became Alien Puppets. And much later, they sold it to Disney, and then we're looking for somebody to... That was pretty much what they had. They were like, late night talk show hosted by aliens. And they needed somebody to fill in everything else. And so I started interviewing for it. And my first interview, I came in and was like asked a bunch of questions that I didn't get the sense they liked the questions that I was asking. And
really?
Yeah. Because I was like, okay, so there's a host and a sidekick who they used to be in the military together, right? And this one was his like second command. So what's their relationship? How do they feel about each other? And they're like, what? And I was like, well, like, does the sidekick, does he like worship his boss and like just think he's the greatest and he's a real sycophant, or is he like sort of downtrodden and getting tired of the bullshit that he's getting from this guy, or like, which is it? And they were like, that's not what the show's about. It's a talk show. And I was like, well, yeah, I know, but you need to have that. Yeah, you need to know what that dynamic is so that they know how to interact with each other. And I kept pitching different ideas about, the reality of a talk show, an alien trying to do what they see humans doing. Like I was like, I think they should have a human couch. I think they should be a very alien spaceship with a very human couch that they're really proud of. Like, look, we got this. We know you have to have it for your TV shows. We've seen it. And so a lot of these ideas that I was pitching, they were like, well, if we do all the stuff that you're doing, they're saying that would be like a 4-hour show. This is just a little talk show. It's too much. And I was like, well, yeah, but you don't have to do all of them. It's just a really good idea to have a big joke bag that you can pull from whenever you need to, and you've got more than enough in the bank for when you need to spend some of those ideas. It was interesting because while they were like, yeah, this is the wrong question. This is not what we like.
They're like, here's some questions we've prepared for you to ask us.
Well, they're just like, I think you're looking in the wrong direction kind of thing. And I think normally, and in a lot of other job interview situations, or all kinds of situations, I would have been like, oops, okay, you're right. I'm sure you're right. And I also know a lot of people who would have been like, you're wrong. And And I didn't do either of those.
Yeah.
Instead, I was just sort of like, oh, okay, I would really encourage you to reconsider that. And to because I do think that what I'm saying is, I think that it would benefit the show. And at the very least, I do think you should think through it. And to hear myself saying, like, to Brian Henson, I disagree, and I think you should think about it differently. Like, I'm like, what are you doing?
You having like an out-of-body experience?
I mean, a little bit, but I also, I've been on so many interviews for shows that like did not happen. And usually the better the show sounds, the more perfect for me, the more it's just like not going to happen.
Really?
That thing's just never going to end up existing. Yeah. So like, I don't really get excited about things. And this, I was also just like not in a great place, like, emotionally and psychologically. I'd had a really, really hard few years leading up to that.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. But so I was just sort of like, I'm not going to pretend, and I'm not going to like feel like I need to dance for these people. I'm just going to like all I can, I'm so exhausted with everything Hollywood. All I can do is give them my real opinions. And luckily I think I'm like a nice enough person that I can deliver those nicely.
Yes.
And be like, hey, I've been in this kind of TV long enough. I do know why these things are valuable, and I think these ideas are valuable, and there you go. And I walked out and texted my managers and was like, well, they hated me. Sorry. But we'll see. And one of them was like, I'm literally getting an email from them right now saying that they loved you. And I'm like, what? And when they called me back in for my next interview, they were like, hey, so the reason that you're here and that you're our first choice for this is because you asked us a bunch of questions that we didn't know we needed to answer. And you showed us how much more we need to be thinking about the show and how thoroughly you're already thinking about it. So
yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So in hindsight, I was like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't get scared out of being honest with them or get so defensive about it. I don't know. I don't think I would ever get defensive enough to be rude. I mean, I am a woman, but but we know, I think we both know people who could.
Sure, absolutely. People who are just like, I'm right at all costs, no matter what.
Yeah. I had a friend who I love and think is so funny. And they would tell me about like how they would go in on staffing interviews and be like, yeah, so I walk in and I tell them what's wrong with their show and what I don't like about it. And I'm like, what?
What?
And this person was like, what? No, that's what they want. And I'm like, for sure they don't want that. They don't want that. Why would you do that?
No.
Well, they've been working very hard on this thing. And they're like, well, but no, they need me to fix the problems.
I think
like,
people don't realize,
like
giving feedback and asking questions, it's not like it is asking the right questions, but that's not all of it. All of that together is a skill set, because you have to say like, I think like, one thing is you can't just present a problem. You have to be like, here's a problem. Exactly. Here's what I see as the solution,
and not just like Skinner move. That's very much a me thing. I do, Lisa. Where, exactly. You can't just shut down the momentum on something. You have to, but you can be like, oh, here's a different way we could keep this energy, but it flows over here and it might still work. Yeah. Got to replace it with a different idea or offer something.
Absolutely. Is that show coming back?
Not sure. We shot 20 episodes. They put out 10 to begin with. And then on New Year's Day, I think, they put out the other 10. So they're all out there now. They have an option until this fall to still renew us. Oh. And, the business is weird. Disney Plus has gone through a lot of changes. We're still hearing internally that they like the show, and that they want to do more with it, but we have not officially gotten picked up. And I'm sure that also has something to do with just the year that we've had. This is a puppet show where the lead character, Ned, is puppeteered by 6 people.
Whoa.
Including 4 people that are physically inside the Ned suit.
Whoa.
Yeah, they're smashed up. One person's playing the torso. 3 people are doing the 4 hands.
In what world? Like, I don't know if I thought Andre the Giant was in there or what, and that is huge.
No, it's a very slim lady is in there, a very slim goth lady with a little tiny monitor, and she does a great job of like physically acting the part. One of my favorite things when we would do read-throughs in the morning was just to watch her and the other puppeteers while Paul Rugg Rug with a G, who does the voice and the mouth movements, was reading the lines, the other puppeteers would sort of be rehearsing what they would probably be doing with like the hand or the body or whatever, like gesturally as he was going along. And it was like, oh, wow, look at them. They're all doing their parts.
That's so fascinating. It is crazy because, like you said, it is such a tiny corner of entertainment, but it is a real skill that a lot of people presumably are practicing right now. There's probably somebody on their way to puppet class today.
Yeah, well, and not just the actual puppeteering, which I did get to do a little bit of that. But, well, I mean, first of all, there's so many different types of puppets. You know, it's not just hand in sock, sort of mouth flapping open. We had, on our show alone, we had animatronic puppets. We had like electronic digital puppets that still used an aperture like a physical puppet would, but it was all just
weird
digital. Yeah. And then we also had the most basic puppet design that Jim Henson came up with, like one of his originals for the Clods, which is just a mouth on a stick pretty much with like little tentacle legs. So there's a lot of different types of puppets, but it's also everything that goes around the puppets. The sets have to be completely different for puppets. The props have to be completely different. And sometimes, like, the props require different puppet parts to go with them. Like, if we were having Ned drink out of a mug, not only does he have to have a mug that the hands can support, but we have to put in a new arm because his arms can't reach his face. So we would have to punch in and do so like all kinds of little teeny tiny things like that.
Interesting.
That not only take a lot of planning and thinking about and discussing with different departments, like, hey, arm department, you got to build an extra arm for us. But also they can't have changes on the fly in the same way that a late night show can. Like a late night show, you write the copy that day and you shoot it that afternoon. It's instantaneous. Yeah. You're throwing things together constantly. Yeah, because Jimmy Kimmel doesn't need another arm. Yeah, he doesn't. Exactly. And you can change his copy right away. Like, easy peasy. And the same is not true for puppet shows. It's like almost the opposite, where you need to know way in advance everything. This art department is not like an art department on a late night show where you're like, we're doing a sketch about bikes, go get some, and they're like, cool, we'll be back in an hour. Like, no, they have to build puppet bikes, and they have, so we kind of mashed up two forms of TV that are at totally different ends of the spectrum in terms of production, which was challenging, but it was also really impressive to see everybody come through and figure it out. Yeah. I mean, you really have to work as a team. No one can fuck off, it sounds like, and just do their own thing, because you need everyone to be working together to accomplish a goal. Did it change the way you wrote for the show? Yeah. Well, I mean, did the puppetry aspect of it change? Yeah, because it definitely limited the things that we could do. Like, we would come up with ideas and they'd be like, that's just... I will say, I thought there was going to be a lot more of that than there was. I thought they were going to be like, no, puppets can't do that. But instead they would be like, all right, let's have a meeting and figure out how puppets could do that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, but if we were at a point in production where we don't have time to have a meeting to figure out how puppets can do X, Y, or Z, they would honestly still be trying to... They still had that spirit, but we in the writing staff would be like, or we could just write this other thing and it would be easier. And they would be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. Well, if you're sure it's okay to do that. Like, they really did want to make our little dreams come true, which was very cool. But the thing that did change the writing was tying up the written elements and the improvised elements, because the interviews were improvised. Yeah. But pretty much everything else is scripted. And I was wondering about that, because I was watching some clips, right before we logged on. And there was like this interesting thing Paul Rugg said in an interview where he was like, talking, I can't remember the actor's name he was interviewing, but it was an Australian guy. And he didn't say, instead of saying like, where's your accent from? He said like, where did you come to speak like that, or something like that, where I was like, oh yeah, that's what an alien would say. I mean, I don't know. Haven't met an alien yet. That was probably Paul. But I was wondering, I was like, that's such a cool and deliberate
character choice, and I didn't know how much you guys had all prepared for that, or...
Well,
you know.
I mean, again, it was the thing of different types of shows running into each other. So, for a late night show, you have your segment producers and talent producers who would be doing pre-interviews with people and coming up with questions and doing all the research. And then they just feed those questions to the host, who then pretty much puts it in their own voice. For this, we really shifted around as how we were... do the segment producers write in the characters' voices? Do they give it to us, the writers, and we rewrite it in the characters' voices? Do they just write it the way they would for any host, and then the improvisers playing the puppeteering and doing the speaking voices for the characters? Is it up to them to do it? And so from episode to episode, it shifted around until it kind of like finally settled into its basically yes to all of that was the answer. Like, it just takes constant communication from all these different departments. So, and I was in Paul's ear all the time, telling him feeding him jokes and lines, and also, okay, move on to this question, because I had producers in my ear. But yeah, he knew Ned's voice, and so he was really good at doing that kind of stuff. And if it was too kooky crazy, then we could always go like, hey, can you ask it again? And he'd be like, oh yeah, right, okay, I can do it a little quicker. Because it's all edited, it's not in front of a live audience. That was a big benefit to it. But yeah, it was. But the tricky thing was the vibe that they have when they're all improvising together was not always the vibe that they had when they started improvising together, when these characters were being developed, when this script was written, or when that script was written, because it's all evolving as it goes along. So we'd have to kind of tinker with it and be like, Cornelius is being a little too mouthy, or Cornelius is a little too happy to be with the things that Ned is saying, or like Ned seems to know too much. So that kind of stuff was we would constantly shift around, and honestly the editing team did a great job with picking it out and shaping it into a world that makes sense.
That's really cool. You are I mean, like, we're friends, not to be really corny, but like, you're somebody I really admire, because I think that you do a lot of things that I can't fathom doing. You're so dynamic. Like, you have a musical theater background, of course, and you were head writer on Drop the Mic, which I started a packet for that when that was going around, and I was like, no, I can't do this. This is fucking impossible. And it seems like magic to me. I don't know. Does that just like come really easy for you, writing like these cool rap battles, or is that because I know that's something that you've done since long before you were on that show, or is that something that, I don't know, is that challenging to you?
No, yeah, it's not challenging to me, or it's like a challenge I enjoy. Like, as you said, I started out in music, so music always and lyrics always fascinated me and almost made more sense to me than talking. Like, like this. I'm like, but if I was singing it, then I would have to come with the next word and make it all sound like I meant to make it sound that way. And it just sort of programmed my brain. And then when I found out musical improv was a thing that other people did, and you get an accompanist and work with them and all improvise together, I got better and better with it. And then I started to have feeling like I had to prove people wrong on a lot of things. So the rap stuff, especially girls, weren't usually doing it. And I was like, I have to prove that I could do this and do this as well as everybody else. Then I stopped doing a lot of music for a long time.
Such a great driver. Just proving people wrong.
I stopped doing music altogether for a long time to focus on joke writing, because I was like, people think I'm just making up songs. They don't notice that there's jokes in them. Or they think audiences just like them because they're songs. So I'm like, I have to prove that I can just do jokes. And it made me zigzag in a lot of different directions, but it also, I think, made me gave me a set of skills that at the end of the day I've figured out how to all use. Also, I will say, this is maybe interesting, maybe. Not until I was later in life did I finally get diagnosed with ADHD, which can do a lot of different things to different people. And it often makes finding the word that you're looking for difficult.
Oh, interesting.
And in my house growing up, my mom is a big time interrupter. No offense to her if she's listening, but I think she is aware of that about herself. So if you paused in a conversation, that's it. You're done. She got in there. She changed the subject. She's talking about what she wants to talk about. So I had to learn to not pause, to just figure out different ways to fill in the gaps and cobble together words that mean the thing that I'm trying to say, even if it's not that exact word. And then when I started doing improvising lyrics, that served me very well, because you can't stop and say, what do I want to say here? You just got to go for it and keep going and keep going. And once you can do that, sitting down and writing it, that's easy. Yeah. That's super easy. You're just like, which of these many words do I want to pick? I know how to use all of them.
It also seems like if you're not, if you're just, I really relate to that, like looking for the perfect word and just being stuck. And it does seem like maybe if you were just having to keep going, you may not find the word you intended, but it'll be interesting in a different way, you know?
Yeah, you could still keep the yourself. Mic.
Yeah.
And loop back around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
So the album you released, that was your first album that you put out? Where did you record that?
I recorded it at the Vermont Comedy Club in Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, nice. How was it?
It was great. It was good. It's a really nice club. It was tough because it was graduation weekend. So, not necessarily what everybody's looking to do in a college town that weekend, but we still got good crowds. And Sierra Katao came and opened for me, and she was great. Very cool. It was good.
Are you building towards the second album now, or are you?
I think I am. I didn't think so for a while, but I've started doing shows, outdoor shows, because I don't think that Zoom counts.
I feel the same way. It's not the same feeling.
Yeah. Andrew, my boyfriend, says Zoom shows aren't comedy shows. They're shows that comedians can do, but it's not doing comedy. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that seems right.
It feels like more along the lines of a corporate. You know? Yeah. Like when you go and
then you're just trying to waste time and get through it.
Where you're like, dear God, every time it's like, why did I accept this? What am I thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. But
that being said, I'll take them. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sure, yeah. I mean, me too. Now. Every now and then, some of them are good. Some of them are good. And I appreciate that some people have found me through them. But yeah, I've started doing some shows and I'm like, oh, I think I do have interesting things to say. And again, seeing crowds be like, yes, we needed somebody to say it. And you said it. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that's part of my job. Finding creative ways to say things that need to be said. Yeah. But hopefully in a funny way, not in like a applause break TED Talk way.
How deliberately do you incorporate, I mean, you're... like I sound like a sycophant now, like all of your talents, just because you're musically talented and then you have the...
Well, that's been challenging. Like when I can get a musical director to do a show with me, which I have done, and I've toured with Sam Janitis and a few different people. That's great. I'll do a mashup of doing stand-up and then doing songs, improvising songs based on crowd work, which is really, really fun. But without having a special of me doing that, it's hard for me to get booked doing that. And if I'm not getting booked at real places doing it, then I don't have the money to take a musical director on the road with me and put them up and pay them. So it's sort of like like the old, how do I get experience in a job without getting a job?
Yes, of course. When they're like, you need 5 years experience for everything.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of that, and that's frustrating. I do sometimes just sing a cappella on stage, but just in the same way that anybody would, like in a bit, and people are like, whoa, that was surprisingly pleasant at the same time. Yeah. So that mostly the music stuff has gone into my writing and like TV writing. and into pre-recorded stuff that I've done with my friends Tim Young and Steve Scalfati, who I did half of my album with. I have, I think it's like, how many songs is it? Like 7 songs on my stand-up album that are produced and recorded in studio. So yeah, it's still batting around trying to figure out ways to do it live, as they say.
Very cool. If you, when you were growing up, did you know you wanted to do this? Did you know you wanted to do comedy or musical comedy or?
Kind of. I wanted to do a lot of different things. My parents were like, you can't be an actor. That was like the one hard and fast. No acting. You don't really want to do that. You think you want to do that because that's what your sister does, but you don't. Which, I don't know that they were right. I maybe could have been an actor. At this point in my life, I'm glad I didn't become an actor, but I think that I probably could have at one point and had much better, like, investment properties. But I did always like comedy. I liked funny stuff. I really liked the funny papers in the newspaper, comic strips and stuff like that. And I remember being caught on the playground by other kids making up songs to myself while I sort of like dug in the dirt like a real weirdo.
Just by yourself.
Like just sitting by myself arranging some leaves in a pile and not realizing that I'm like ba ba da boo boo and people were like, you're the weirdest weirdo. And I was like, oh no.
Everyone just goes inside from recess and leaves you. They're like, just let her.
I mean, that absolutely would have happened. Like, I would just zone out, making up like little tunes, and sometimes with words, sometimes not. And as I said, half the time I didn't even realize I was doing it. And so now, though, that's stuff that I look back on and I'm like, oh, that's still what I do. That's my job now. So, I mean, I think I wanted to be Fozzie Bear, but I didn't realize that he was a bad comedian.
Sure, yeah.
But that also, I'm like, well, yeah, pretty much do that too. The Muppets and comedy, hit that note too. So yeah, there were aspects of it, but I think there was a lot that I didn't know was an actual job.
Yeah, that is such a big piece of it.
Well, and I didn't see a lot of women doing it. I saw, and the ones that I did see doing it, I was like, yes, I'm into this, fascinated, tell me everything. But I don't know, they never had any kind of like behind the scenes, this is how you live as a comedian. Here's what a life actually is, and you should learn about budgeting, none of that stuff.
It's so mysterious, and I do think there's a million women doing comedy now, but it does seem like when I look back when I was a kid, I'm like, okay, so I was aware of like Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball and then Joan Rivers, and that's a giant gap in time. And then and not that there weren't, of course there was a lot more than that, but they just weren't getting the exposure that the men were getting.
Anyone that I was exposed to, I feel like I sucked the meat off the bone like a chicken wing. Like Julie Brown, not Downtown Julie Brown,
the other Julie Brown.
She had her own sketch show. She put out parody songs or like comedy songs, novelty songs, not even parodies. And very 80s. There was a movie called Earth Girls Are Easy, which was one of my favorite movies. Yeah, so she, I believe, co-wrote that, and it was meant to star her, but then they got Gina Davis, instead, and so she played like the best friend in it, and I was like crazy about her. Judy Tenuta, I was like crazy about, but again, I was so little, and that was, especially with Judy Tenuta, a style of comedy that was so, it wasn't about jokes. It wasn't about like joke structure that much, as much as it was about like the rhythm and music of a joke and sound and movement. So like I was a little kid just being like, she's in a prom dress and she called the men pigs. I want to do this. That's being a comedian. Great. So I don't feel like, again, I was like learning the craft of comedy, but I feel like I was bewitched by these cool ladies that I saw doing it. To my 3-year-old mind, 4-year-old mind.
That's really cool. Were your parents then supportive when you're, in the made up scenario where you're like, well, I'm not going to be an actor. I'm going to be a comic. You're welcome.
No. Yeah, they wanted me to be a lawyer. Again, my sister's an actress, so they were like, you can be an entertainment lawyer and you could represent her.
You're like, fun.
Yeah. But they were really supportive of me being artistic and weird. Mm-hmm. So they didn't lay out a good path for themselves as far as swaying me away from this kind of stuff. They were like, be a lawyer, but also here, take a course on performance art. And I'm like, how are we going to get there, parents? But I think there came a point when I was living in New York and doing a lot of improv, and I was doing like temp work and any kind of work I could hustle, because improv doesn't pay and I didn't have money, and I'm like living way out in Queens. And I remember calling my dad. My dad grew up in post-war Britain, so they were very stressed out about money always, and it was a real like, you don't spend money kind of upbringing that I got. And I remember calling him from the grocery store one morning and being like, hey, I need to tell you this. I'm going to try to be a comedian. And I know you don't want me to be. And I know that you're going to be scared about money. And I understand why you're scared about money. But I need you to like tell me it's okay. And he was like, right? It's okay. Yeah. I'm very proud of you. And I was like, okay, thank you. And it was like, well, I'm glad I just put that to him. That's instead of being like, I hope they're okay with it. Or like, I don't need to hear from them that it's okay. Like, no, I needed my dad to be like, I know that this is financially risky, and I still think, and I'm proud of you for doing it, and it's okay.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm not going to
like
give you a hard time.
Yeah, yeah. Like, we know there's really not a lot else you're going to be doing.
Yeah. They have, and I think with all parents and kids, there's such a weird mix of like them being, not being like, we don't like what you do, we don't want you to do that, but being like, we're scared that it's not going to take care of you the way that we want you taken care of, or it's not going to be we're scared other people aren't going to get it and you're not going to be successful. And it's like, I had to spend a long time being like, let those people tell me. You guys don't need to tell me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Also learning to like put up boundaries and just kind of not share some things with them. There's parts of my career that like I either don't share with them, or when I share it with them, I've kind of steeled myself and I'm like, they're not going to get it. But they can still, like, when I showed them rough cuts of Earth to Ned, they were like, oh no, how are you going to fix this? And I was like, what do you mean fix it? They were like, well, is this what you meant it to be? And I was like, yeah, well,
oh my God,
okay. Yeah, my parents could be like real harsh and in a way that they have no idea. Like they would I repeat back things that they're saying. My mom was like, I would never. And I'm like, you what?
And you're like, here you are on videotape.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so funny. I think that is such a real thing, where there's just so many different ways to be funny, or to different styles of comedy. And there's 7 billion people on Earth. Of course, they're going to all like different comedy. And, I think my family's very blue collar. And so they're like, a lot of what I do, they're kind of like, huh? You're doing what? And what's the pay? This is so bizarre. It's like, it all seems like a lie. But then I'm like, well, if somebody had told me this before I got into it, I would also think it was a lie.
Yeah, the stuff that I've read that you like post about your family is so foreign to me. I'm like, I wish my family cared about some of that stuff. They don't at all. They're just like, well, in the history of great art. I'm like, you don't have the kind of money to push me on the history of great art. I'm trying to pay my bills. Stop being so snooty.
That's really funny. When you've had such a rich career so far. I think from where I'm sitting, when you look back on things, was there something that was either bad or insignificant at the time, or felt bad or insignificant that ended up being really good?
I mean, yeah, lots of things. The bad stuff probably felt real bad. So I think I've put that in a box someplace, and
leave it in the box.
Is inaccessible, even to me, but insignificant. One of my favorite little weird things that happened to me was when I was working at Funny or Die. So after I done Totally Biased. I'd been on a season of Totally Biased and written for Joan Rivers, and then I didn't have any job. And I came back and was writing for Funny or Die, and that was a real roller coaster of a short career there. But during that, I found these videos that College Humor was making. So, and obviously there was like a Funny or Die College Humor sort of thing where there were these were the two big internet comedy companies. College Humor started making these videos of this guy that I knew from New York doing like historical breakdowns of facts about the world, called Adam Ruins Everything, I believe. And I remember bringing it into Funny or Die and making the other writers watch it. And I was like, I'm so mad we're not making this. We should be making this. And they were like, whatever. That's nerd stuff. Let's make another parody of Aliens. And I'm like, what? Okay. And a few days later, I was hanging out with my friend Emily Heller, who had like friends in from out of town. So she had like grouped a bunch of people together at this bar near my house. And Adam was one of the people there, a big group of people. We're all hanging out. I'm like, well, I have to go. And I live close enough that they all walk me home. And then when we get to my...
It's just a parade.
Yeah, it's just a parade of comics, because Emily was new from, had just moved from New York also. So like, I think she was doing that thing where like anytime New York people come in, she's like, everybody has to come say hi to them.
Oh, yeah.
So they walked with me up Beechwood to my place, and I was like, bye, good to see everybody. Oh, hey, by the way, Adam, your video makes me angry that I didn't make it. They're so good. I love them, and they're infuriating. And he was like, oh, thank you. Oh my God. And just a couple months later, he called me into College Humor, me and two other people, and was like, okay, we're making a pilot of my show of these. And the reason that the three of you are here, because you all, with no prompting, just told me that you liked the videos.
Whoa.
And they were great writers too. It was like, Dan Gregor and Will Hines. And so we helped him come up with some ideas for the pilot. And then when it got picked up, he hired me for the show as a producer and writer. And it was just because I told him that I liked.
That's such a crazy trajectory.
Well, but I think it's something that I like to tell people that, because I think that people are scared to say when they like other people's work, because they think that it's ass kissy.
Yeah.
That it's demanding some sort of job or like hoping for favor. And it's not. I mean, I've also had people be like, wow, I love Earth to Ned. And it's very clear when the difference between demanding a job and trying to kiss your ass and just honestly saying, I like it. And, we all want respect from our peers, and and also those people who were like, I liked Earth to Ned, here's why. And I got excited about this part of it. I'm like, oh, great. They get it. If I'm staffing this room again or something else that needs someone who can see those same things, I heard it, and I could hear that they could hear it. So I'm a big proponent of people telling people when they like their work, and also, just in general, telling people what you want to do.
Always. Because how is anybody, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and a friend was on and was mentioning like wanting to get staffed. And I was like, I had no idea that person wanted to write. And now it's like
so often.
Now when I get a packet, I can send it to them,
Yeah, that happened to me the other day with a comic who I think is great and so funny. And he was like, yeah, it's just impossible. I've never been staffed on anything. And I'm like, what? Why? And he's like, nobody wants to staff me. And I'm like, oh, that's not true. Yeah. But also, you look like an actor, and I know you've gone out for acting things. I wouldn't have known. You got to tell people, I want to do this. Otherwise, they're like, I mean, unless you're like telling people that you're in dire straits or telling them, hey, I need this, I want this. We all assume everybody's kind of doing okay, right? Yeah. Like, we're focused on ourselves. Like, how do I pay my rent? Yeah, but not I think, like, gosh, I wonder if Lisa's paying her rent. Like,
I think also people, for the most part, want to help each other out. I mean, I think it's very rare and also very easy to cut out the people that are not cool and like want to keep everything to themselves or whatever. Like,
well, yeah. And also, I mean, once you're staffing a room, especially as small as these rooms are getting, you need to know that you're hiring people you can count on. You can't really take chances on people. Yeah. In the way that you could if you had like a huge room and you're like, we'll see if that person works out. Like, oh, I got 4 people. Oh, they all have to work out. And if I know how someone works as a comedian, or how someone is reliable as a human being, then like that's at least better than not knowing anything about them. So if I know somebody who I've been doing shows with for years and then sends in a packet and it's good, then I'm like, oh, great. I know that they actually show up for their spots.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know like 40 people who know them who don't have shitty things to say about them. This is kind of a better gamble for me to make.
And that's such a big part of it, is just like, you know, being cool and being fun to be around. And also, to Adam's credit, with Adam Ruins Everything, it's like you complimenting him and having that conversation. It's not like you were just like, great show, bye. Like, I wasn't there for the conversation, but I'm sure you said something that let him know that you really got it. And that's also a huge component of it.
Yeah. Well, and also I did really get it. And that even if I didn't demonstrate that in that first exchange, by the second, third, and fourth, like, it became like, you know, you don't have to book the job in the first interview. You have to book the second interview. Yeah. You know? And not that social interaction should be thought of as booking the interview, but like, you don't, like, I don't know. I think it's something that I really struggled with as an actor when I was trying to do acting, that I was like, how can I show them that I can do every aspect of this character from the 4 lines that they've given me? You don't. You just have to show them you can do those 4 lines. Yes. And with like writing stuff, you don't have to show them you can write everything. Just like, I can function in this room with you. Yeah. I understand what it is. I can come up with the type of jokes that you need in an interview, you know, all that stuff. And
I bathe regularly. That's a big thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that was a lesson I got in my first job. They had to sit us down at when I worked in a hotel, and we're like, you have to bathe. Guests are in the elevators with you. We're all like, Jesus, okay, who's not bathing?
All right. A lot of people, it turns out. How was working on Adam Ruins Everything, by the way? Was it because there's a handful of people that worked on an episode, right? Am I remembering this correctly?
I was only there the first season, and then I moved to Corden. But I continued to appear on it and be on that as an actor, and also just be friends with Adam and, you know, talk to him about ideas and stuff. I think they finally did an episode of an idea that I had been pushing for years, which would be even more timely now, which at the time was no big deal, but I was like, we should do an Adam Ruins conspiracies, because so many conspiracy theory people thought that by his ruining things, that meant that he really was on their side. Everybody thought that. Everybody thought Adam agrees with me. And that was a thing that I think at first he struggled with and then started playing with, where he's like, oh, okay, well, they think I'm agreeing with me. That means they'll listen to me, even if it would be something that they would disagree with. I can sneak it. Working on it was cool. You know, that was such a great staff that first season. It was me. It was Melinda Taub, who ended up being head writer for Sam B. Travis Helwig, who ended up being head writer of Adam Ruins Everything going forward, and Gonzalo Cordova, who wrote for Tuca and Birdie, and he's had a couple of his own series too.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, he really got like a loaded deck in that
what a
room.
solid team.
Yeah, and one of the other really fun things for me was that he also kind of hired me because I bully him. In like a friendly way. Like, he was like, all right, like, I would just clown on him all the time, and that became an important aspect of the show, where it wasn't like him ruining things for people who became upset with him. He was ruining things for people who would then clown on him, so then you get laughs from that. But there was a really big shift when I then went to Corden after that, and was like, here's how you talk to your boss. You're a dum-dum. And that boss did not agree with that or enjoy it.
You could definitely, different rooms have a different feel.
Yes.
Entirely. Was that a hard shift to go to a nightly show?
Yeah, but it was not hard because it was nightly. It was hard because it was like going from a small family to like a family of 14.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where you're like, nobody packed my lunch today. I think they forgot I live here. You know, like, you go from from this really tightly knit group to a room where people are in cubicles and it's silent most of the day. Mm-hmm. And for me, being in a writer's room is the next best thing to being to being a comic, because you're making people laugh all day, because you're doing bits, you're coming up with jokes. And at Corden, it wasn't like that. It was, you'd have your meeting in the morning, and then everybody broke off and was working on their things. Mm-hmm. And so that momentum kind of felt like while I think some people might think, oh, it's a nightly show, so then that train is really running. But it actually felt like it slowed down a lot. And there was a lot of time where I was just like waiting to be needed.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like, okay, well, a music thing came up. We need Eliza, or, whatever, like some sketch that I pitched, like the guest liked it. So now we need Eliza. Besides that, it's just sort of like puttering around and helping people out we would like help each other out with stuff, and maybe you'd be on the monologue team for a few weeks, and then you're doing more. But yeah, it was I became like a much smaller cog because it was a much bigger machine.
Yeah. Did you join during the first season, or was it later in?
It was in the first season, but it was a few months into it.
Oh, okay. So everybody
into it.
That is also another a different thing to learn to navigate, is coming into a room where everyone's place socially is already set, and then you're like, hey, what's up? It's me. And then you have to figure out all the dynamics immediately.
Well, and late night shows, I think more than other shows, people are scared they're going to lose their job. Because, as I just said, like, they might not need you for like a week. You might not get anything on air for like a week. And so if that happens, you're like, oh shit, I'm going to get fired. And like, no, that's just sort of the pace of this job, because there's 12 people. And then at the end of the day, you're going to have a host who's like, actually, I'm just going to say what I want to say. And it's like, what? Okay. So nobody got anything on? Not that any host just says what they want to say. They need writers.
Right.
But yeah, it's weird. So you have a lot of very high-strung people who are scared that their position is going to be usurped.
Yeah. That is
even if they're like nice people who don't want to be affected by that feeling. Yeah. It's still just in the air.
Oh, for sure. There is definitely, when I was at Jim Jefferies Show, I remember the first couple of weeks I got stuff on air, and I was like, I'm doing so good. Mm-hmm. And then it was like the third week I didn't get a word on air, and I was like, oh God. Oh no. And it's just like, and it was my first late night experience. So then I spend a good amount of time in my head, like, what went wrong, and what am I doing? And it's like, it turns out everything was fine, but it does fuck with your head. Yeah.
And there's just a very weird relationship, I think, between hosts and writers. And that was also part of what I was, I don't know, interested and excited about for Ned to be able to, I mean, without really putting writers into it. But I think we got a little bit of it with Cornelius, where it's like late night hosts desperately need their writers. They can't just go on there and freewheel a monologue. They can't do that.
Yeah.
They desperately need their writers. And the writers desperately need their hosts. The writers can't like write these jokes and then have them on TV. How are you getting your joke on TV without that? How are you getting that page? How are you getting, your ideas realized? But both of them don't want to have that. Mm-hmm. So I think they also hate each other. I think there's a little bit of like, these fucking writers. And then they're like, these writers that put these words in my mouth. And the writers are like, this fucking baby who we have to think of every word for them to say. And then they're like, Daddy liked the words I wrote. Daddy liked them this week. Oh, I'm a good baby. So it's like really psychologically weird in a way that I don't think a lot of other jobs are, because even if you have something similar in a regular like office situation, it's not going on TV for thousands of people or millions of people to watch, and then millions of people to decide where their love goes to the host, and the writers be like, that's okay, that's fine, I didn't want the love anyway because I have daddy's love. Daddy's love equals all the people love, which is like, well, that's a lot of pressure to put on one person too. So yeah, it's psychologically bizarro
Yeah, it can be some weird stuff. I want to ask you one more question that I don't throw into the email because I like to catch you by surprise.
Oh no!
If your childhood self could meet you, like 11-year-old Liza, what do you think she would think?
I think she would think that what I do is really cool and that I'm really cool. I think she would worry that isn't it scary to live by myself. But besides that, I think she would be like stoked about it. And not to take your thunder, but that's a question I like to ask myself a lot and to like bring up with other people. Not so much childhood me, but like anytime you're feeling some kind of slump, like what would you from 2 years ago think of where you're at right now?
Absolutely.
Usually you from like a year ago, 2 years ago would be like, oh shit, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
I do think about that a lot. And I think about that in terms of like, I think that's really cool that you also do, because I think that I'm also trying to hold myself to a standard that my younger self would be proud of. You know, I'm like, well, I don't want to be an asshole to people because I think that younger me would be really disappointed. Like me right now, I might be, in a rage blackout and ready to kill someone. But I feel like I owe it to
little Lisa.
Yeah. You know,
that's really nice. I haven't thought of it that way. And I feel like there's a pitch in there. I feel like there's a cartoon.
We're coming up with a show.
You and little you, and you're like, and this little you is like the angel on your shoulder, something. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, also, I one of my other little thought exercises for when I'm like is that we're living somebody's dream.
Mm-hmm,
like
absolutely.
I think everybody has some fantasy of like a different kind of life. Like anytime we're like, wouldn't it be nice to just live in the suburbs and like have a whole refrigerator just for soda?
Yes, that's such a thing.
There's somebody living someplace with a refrigerator for soda, like driving their kids to school in some minivan, being like, wouldn't it be nice to just like have your own place and like not give a fuck and like just do comedy? So, when my life is like gets hard, I try to think like, well, somebody else's dream, so I should appreciate those parts of it.
Yeah, so you should find them and rub it in their face. That's what you should do.
Or switch, do a Freaky Friday.
Yes, absolutely, just for a day. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on. It was so great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. It's great to talk to you too.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening. Again, that was Eliza Skinner. You can find her on Twitter at Eliza Skinner and on Instagram at eSkins. And I'm Lisa Curry. You can find me on Twitter at Lisa_Curry and on Instagram at olympianlisacurry. See you next week.